Fellas, I'm going to show you how to successfully approach women every single time using a system, right? A formula I created called the Big Three. And what you should know is, since using the Big Three, I've never ever had a negative approach when using it, ever, since using it, right? And fellas, not doing what's in the Big Three is the reason why you get rejected. I'm going to take you through it in this video, okay? All of my bad, right, my quote unquote failed approaches came when I didn't use the Big Three. And plus, fellas, I'm going to give you a bonus checklist of the other very important traits that will make your approach even better. So what I did, fellas, I took the time to analyze my past approaches, right? The successful ones, the failed ones, the good ones, the bad ones, the ones in between. And I wanted to identify what made some of them successful and what made others failures. Right. And theoretically, fellas, with everything I know, you guys will know I'm a fucking expert at this shit. I could come up with more than 95 variables, right? Why it worked, why it didn't work. But giving you 95 variables isn't useful, right? You can't apply that in real life. So what I needed to do was I needed to work, I needed to analyze, I needed to think. How can I reduce all of these variables to only the most important? For key, just the approach. Okay? And that's how I came up with it, right? I narrowed it down to the three most important things that are required, right? These are required. These are non-negotiable for a successful approach. And I call this the Big Three. And here they are, right? The Big Three: swagger, confidence, and masculinity. I'm going to take you through each of them, right? Fellas, when you approach a woman, any woman, right, using all three, this is how you create what I call the perfect approach, right? You're going to get the Prince Charming effect. Basically, what's going to happen is she's going to perceive you as the perfect guy. She'll love to talk to you. Conversation will be easy. This is a key one. And she'll think you're incredibly sexy just based off the way you approach her, right? It's not magic. It's very simple. Okay, I'm going to break each one down now. But most of you are probably thinking, well, Force, when I approach her, what do I say? Well, and I'm going to show you, right, later why this doesn't even matter, right? Just stick with me. You'll see. Okay, so swagger and confidence, right? They both go hand in hand. But why are they so important? Because women subconsciously know that the only men who carry themselves, right, key, this is so key, I'm going to make another video on this, and interact with women with tremendous confidence and swagger are what we call pre-selected males, right? Pre-selected males are men with a high sexual market value, right? A pre-selected male, fellas, is simply a man that has lots of other options. Right, and a man with high SMV, by definition, high sexual market value, has loads of options, okay? And when you display confidence and swagger, when you interact with her with confidence and swagger, you are basically signaling to her, right, subconsciously, right, because all women intuitively know this, that other girls want you and therefore she should want you too, right? Because a man with loads of options is highly desirable, as you know. And the key thing is, fellas, you don't have to have loads of options. The thing is, when you display these traits, women will assume that you do. Even if you're a virgin, if you display these traits, they will assume that you fuck and you have an abundance of options, okay? So here are the two important things. First, you want to carry yourself with tremendous amounts of confidence and swagger. And the second thing is, fellas, you want to interact with her with tremendous amounts of confidence and swagger. These are the two key things. You want to carry yourself when you want to interact with her. Now, I'll break these down quickly, then I'll move on because I've got so much more to cover. When I say carry yourself, fellas, what you have to understand is most men think the approach just occurs in a bubble, right? That the only thing that she's judging you on is the approach, right? No. She will be paying attention to the way you carry yourself before you come up to her. And if you carry yourself without confidence, without swagger, right, before you approach her, you're already disqualified. Okay? I spoke to this girl today in the gym, right? Very, very attractive, very intelligent, like a perfect wife, right? Just trust me, right? Dark hair, tan skin, perfect body, right? And intelligent, right? You get the point, right? I spoke to her today and what I gained, we had like a 30-minute conversation, right? What I gained from the conversation was, fellas, she'd been paying attention to me before we spoke. She knew literally everything, or she knew loads of minor details about me from months ago. So I knew that oh, okay, she's been, I already knew this, but this reminded me, and this is actually why I made this video, is because it reminded me that, it's not just about the way you approach it, it's about how you carry yourself. They are paying attention to this. And just because of the way I carried myself, before I spoke to her, I already had the green light. Right? She already wanted to fuck me. Or date, and we're going to fuck anyway. Anyway, we won't get into that. But yeah, then the second point is, fellas, you want to interact with her with tremendous amounts of confidence and swagger. This is when you speak to her in the approach, but you must have both because she's always paying attention. You would be surprised at how much the woman you're into in the gym has been looking at you, or the woman you're into at the pub you go to every week. You'd be surprised at how much she knows about you. I promise you, they are always watching. Now, also, fellas, when approaching, when interacting, you want to use what I call the formula. And again, this is something I invented. If you ever see someone show the formula, know that they copied it from me, the little bastard. Right. Those of you who don't know what the formula is, it's basically the list of traits that when you display them, right, it's going to make her perceive you as the prize. I will repeat that. When you use the formula, it will make her perceive you as the prize, right? Basically, this means the formula will make her perceive you as having a higher SMV than her, right? A higher sexual market value. And what you have to understand is, fellas, women only date men with higher sexual market values than them. So her perceiving you as the prize, is required to date her. Otherwise, what's going to happen is if you don't use the formula, if she doesn't perceive you as the prize, if she perceives you as having a lower SMV than her, what's going to happen is you're just going to have to chase after her. You're never going to get on a date with her. You're never going to sleep with her. You're never going to long-term date her. You're going to do nothing. You're just going to be chasing after her and you'll get nothing. And then some guy like me with a high SMV will come in and fuck her on the first date when you've been trying for 6 months. Okay? So this is the formula, right? And displaying these traits will make her perceive you as the prize. I'm going to quickly skip over these because I made a video yesterday or a few days ago on this about how to use the formula. It's a great video. I strongly suggest you watch it. I mean, all of my videos are fucking world class and the best in the world. So if you ever want to learn something, just watch my videos. They're the best in the world. They're based on science. They fucking work because they're all based on experience and my painful mistakes. Right, so swagger, confidence, arrogance, right? You want to be non-nervous. You want to be totally relaxed. You want to be unimpressed. You want to be indifferent, right? You want to have a take it or leave it attitude. You want to be unfazed. You want to be used to this, right? Act like it's a normal Tuesday for you. Then you want no deviation from baseline behavior. If you want a further in-depth explanation on this, just watch my video from yesterday or a few days ago. Remember, fellas, the most important traits when approaching are swagger and confidence, right? I can give you the whole formula, but the two most important are swagger and confidence, right? Also, like I said, the formula is tremendously important, right? It's going to serve you not just in the approach, but in when you interact with women in general. And the video that I broke this down in is called How to Make Women Perceive You as the Prize. Right? This is not just useful for the approach. It's useful for your entire dating life. Because if a woman doesn't perceive you as the prize, like I said, she's going to lose interest and she's going to treat you like shit. And then she'll get fucked by someone like me. Okay? Right. But if you just have swagger and you just have confidence, right? If you just have these two things, the rest tends to take care of itself. But it's still very, 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 right? Very useful to know, right? I wish I had this when I was younger, right? The formula, that is. Right, so swagger and confidence are the first key to a successful approach, right? And the second key is masculinity. But why is this important, fellas? Because just having swagger and confidence is sufficient, but importantly, not optimal. So if you want to get optimal results, if you want to get the best possible results, if you want to get the most possible results, you need all three. But if you do just have swagger and you do just have confidence, you're already better than 99% of men, okay? But the thing is, fellas, you are missing out on some potential improvement, right? The final piece, right? Masculinity is how you make her perceive you as him. Okay? The masculinity is how you get this, right? It's how you're going to make her perceive you as the perfect guy. She'll love to talk to you. Conversation will be easier and she'll think you're incredibly sexy. You need the third piece to get this. And I told you this in the intro. Why, fellas? Well, because this combination of having all three traits is so fucking rare, right? First of all, right? This is the big truth. Roughly 0% of the male population approach girls. And this is why they get zero results, because they don't speak to women. They don't approach girls. How else do you expect to meet girls? You have to start conversations, fellas. This is why when I was younger, I had a drought of a very long time because I just didn't approach girls. I don't know what I was thinking, right? I was like, I just didn't approach any girls, so I got zero results. Literally zero. And that's not because I was ugly or unattractive. I was very muscular and I was very tall. I was like 6'3", 6'4", fucking top 1% physique. But I still literally got zero results because I didn't approach girls. Right? I didn't speak to anyone. And fellas, the minuscule percentage of men who do have confidence and swagger, they don't have masculinity. So oftentimes, they're perceived as fuckboys or immature. Right? And what that means is, fellas, sometimes they're disqualified by some women. Not all women. A lot. If you just want to have a one-night stand and you'll dance some fucking 21-year-old or 19-year-old girl, then usually this doesn't matter too much. Right? But those are typically going to be the girls who are 19 and have a body count of 50. So if you want to be with those sorts of girls, then yeah. But also, fellas, even if you do just you're dating some 19-year-old or some 21-year-old or some bullshit like that who's very immature, if you do have masculinity, all it's going to do is it's going to just massively increase her attraction anyway. And it's going to make her do things for you that she wouldn't do if you didn't have this trait. So just have masculinity. It's fucking critical. Okay? And like I said, it's like I made this presentation. The best, fellas, is to have all three, right? You want to balance. And as a side note, this is how you come across as charming. So if you've ever heard anyone say, "Oh, that guy is so charming," well, what does that tactically mean? Because telling someone to be charming isn't a very useful piece of advice. So I actually fucking took the time to break it down. All it is, fellas, is confidence, swagger, balanced with masculinity. When you balance those three, that's how you come across as incredibly charming. Right, which is how you want to come across, right? And masculinity, fellas, is that cool, calm, relaxed, laid back, mature, sexy, unreactive presence, right? That seductive presence. That's what masculinity is. Also, these are some additional traits, right? You're not overexpressive, you're serious, right? And I'll explain this one in a minute. You're not over talkative, you're a great listener, you're non-nervous, you're assertive. Serious, this trait, fellas, which you have to be, right? Masculine men are serious, but there is a balance. Okay? Although you may appear more serious, it doesn't mean you're boring, right? That's why we have the swagger, and that's why we have the confidence to balance the masculinity out, right? All of these things balance each other. So the masculinity is going to tend to make you more serious, more calm, more cool, more relaxed. But then you've got the swagger and confidence, which is going to bring out that sort of flirtatious, sort of sexy, extremely sort of confident, extremely extroverted side of you, which turns the shit on out of women, right? It turns them fucking on when you have this balance, right? So the masculinity is going to make her just fall into her femininity. It's going to make her incredibly attracted to you. But then the swagger and the confidence, combining those three is how you affect. By the way, also combining these three, fellas, is how you effectively flirt with women. That's how you do it. Right, flirting is, again, just masculinity plus swagger plus confidence. That's how you flirt, right, successfully. That's what's going to make her feel the most emotions towards you. And when you do that, she's just going to love talking to you, okay? Also, fellas, this is extremely important. Masculinity is how you get described as extremely mature, very mature, right? And by the way, if a woman ever describes you as mature or very mature, this is a fucking great compliment to get, because maturity in a man is a massive green flag for women. They seek that shit out. Even the fucking 19-year-olds, even the 21-year-olds, right? Even the 18-year-olds, right? The 20, whatever, however, right? These women, if you are mature, it will simply raise her attraction. It's a simple fucking equation. 1 + 1 = 2. Just like 1 + 1 = 2, when you have maturity, it increases your attraction, right? It works 100% of the time. Okay? And fellas, you will not get described as mature without masculinity. It is a fucking requirement. And hence, like I said, some women, right, when you don't have the masculinity piece, they may disqualify you, right? Because they'll perceive you as a fuckboy, they'll perceive you as immature, they won't perceive you as a proper man. And if you want to get with like what I call the higher quality girls, right? So these are the intelligent girls who have a very low body count, who are still extremely pretty, right? Who have good jobs, are intelligent, you can hold a conversation with, right? Sort of girlfriend / wife material, right? They have these traits. You will not get them. You will not get them without being mature. That is a promise. I will take that shit to the grave. If she doesn't perceive you as mature, you will not get her. She will fucking disqualify you. She will. That's why they have low body counts, fellas. Because they disqualify all the immature fucking fuckboys. That's why their body count is low. Because they disqualify men. And then very, very, very few men are mature. Because most men are extremely non-masculine, right? They're extremely feminine. Or maybe not feminine, but they're not masculine, right? They're not those serious, cool, calm, relaxed, laid-back guys who don't gossip, who don't go out, who work hard, who have a career, who are ambitious, right? That's what masculinity is, and most men aren't like that. So they're described as immature, then they're disqualified from the girls you really want, right? The really high-quality girls, okay? And that's why we have all three components. Like I said, not all women will disqualify you, but some may disqualify you if they don't perceive you as mature. Okay? And then a question I often get is, well, Force, this sounds brilliant, but what the fuck do I talk about when I approach them? Fellas, you have to understand this. When you have all three components, I promise to God, the conversation will flow naturally. I promise to fucking God this happens 100% of the time. And if the conversation isn't flowing naturally, right, it's because you're missing one of the pieces. And I'll be honest, it's usually the confidence, it's usually the swagger. It's not usually the masculinity. It's usually the confidence or swagger that you're missing is why the conversation isn't flowing naturally. Sometimes it's the masculinity, but I'd say 90% of the time it's the confidence, it's the swagger. Let me explain why. When you just have masculinity and you don't have confidence and swagger, a lot of guys, and I know this because I made this mistake, right? And that's why my YouTube channel is the best on the fucking internet, because I've actually done this stuff in real life and I've made these mistakes, right? As a side note, a common mistake when you just have the masculinity is you don't say a lot. So you come across as quiet, right? Nervous, right? Unconfident and awkward, right? And also boring. I used to get this all the time. I still get the boring comment sometimes, but that's because it's a shit test, right? But coming across as quiet, nervous, unconfident, or awkward, they are not shit tests. They are just, let me get off of, let me go home. I don't want to be around this guy. He's fucking boring. He's fucking quiet. He's fucking nervous. He's fucking boring, right? They'll describe you as boring, but not in the way that they'll describe it. Anyway, you get the point, right? Quiet, nervous, unconfident, awkward, boring, right? Because you'll tend to stand there and not say very much, which is what you want to do after you've done the approach, right? That's when you shut the fuck up. You still have confidence and swagger, but you shut the fuck up more. But when you're in the approach, you actually have to talk because she doesn't know you yet. So you have to lead the conversation. And the mistake most guys make is they take this masculinity thing too far. They stand there like the fucking Terminator, right? Just not saying anything. And then it just goes awkward and you just walk off and never talk to each other again, right? And that is you being quiet and not speaking is usually a manifestation of lack of confidence or lack of swagger. So you need all three pieces, right? And like I said, the conversation not flowing is usually because you don't have confidence, you don't have swagger, or you don't have enough of each, right? This is usually not the problem if you have this problem, right? Like I said, you must have all three, otherwise the conversation won't flow naturally. Usually it's the confidence and swagger, usually not the masculinity, but getting this right will help her converse more. This is super important as well. I don't want to underestimate that. And fellas, what you have to understand is, since I was successful with girls, right, I've never, ever in a million fucking years, not once, ever in my entire fucking existence, since I've been successful, memorized the pickup line because they don't fucking work. Right? So you don't need pickup lines, fellas. I swear to God, when you use the big three, right? When you use the big three, the conversation will flow naturally. Like I said, this girl, right? We had an effortless 30-minute conversation. I think it was like 45 minutes, and it could have gone longer. She was just yak, talk, tell me your life story. Oh, and now you're touching force. Oh wow, now you're stroking force. Oh wow, right? Effortless. And we could have gone 2 hours, right? Only because I had the three components, and this works on any girl. 100% of women on earth, this works on. They biologically love to be interacted with in this way. If you want access to all of that, if you want access to my private vault of playbooks, all my advanced tactics, everything, and if you want my one-to-one guidance, right, my one-to-one mentorship, where basically I'm going to treat you as if you're my fucking blood, related to me by blood. I'm going to put my life on the line to fucking help you succeed with this shit. Right, if you work with me, you will win. Right, if you want my one-to-one advice, if you want my one-to-one mentorship, if you want me to guide you through all of the pitfalls, all of the mistakes, all of the traps that you're going to make on your journey to success, to becoming a 10 out of 10 man who can have literally any woman on the planet he wants, because you can get there. If you want me to guide you through that path, instead of you having to do it all on your own and not knowing what you're doing and eventually just giving up and never reaching success, if you just want me to tell you, do this, do this, do this. Oh, don't do that because you'll fuck up. Do this, do this. Yep, don't make that mistake. This is what like 99% of mistake men, and then this is the mistake that 99% of men make, and then they just fucking give up and fail. Yep, don't do that. I'll do this. Now you've reached success. You can attract any woman you want. You have a beautiful relationship. If you want that, if you want the smoothest, quickest possible path to achieving that, my one-to-one mentorship is perfect for you. This is the first time I've opened it up in 3 years. It is the best product on the fucking internet. I can't believe I'm fucking offering this if you want to be successful in women, dating, relationships, attraction. This is the best thing on the internet for you. Don't look anywhere else because you'll waste your fucking time and money. If you do want to apply, it would be an honor for me to help you get where you want to get. If you're not interested, please don't apply because it's a lot of work from me. But if you are interested, just submit an application. I'll review your application. I'll contact you and we can discuss if we think it's a good fit. If it is, perfect, we'll get you set up. If it's not, no sweat. Fellas, I will see you in the next video.